pleased to have Mr. Mike Malone with us. Mike is a native of Arkansas and is the Executive Director of the Northwest Council, of the Northwest Arkansas Council. The hallmark of the region, the Northwest Arkansas region, which is the fastest growing area of the state, is their ability to work together, build consensus, and in doing so have really been able to put together coalitions that have done a remarkable work in getting projects that are so important for the area and state done. Mr. Malone truly understands the challenges of private transportation and all the challenges that represents in getting the infrastructure put in place. Mike's also in a unique position. He was worked for the House Appropriations Committee for several years and was one of their most respected members on both sides of the aisle because of his abilities in building consensus and having tremendous grasp of knowledge in different areas. So I think he really does have a unique perspective, not only of the challenges at the private level, but also of the challenges here that we face in trying to provide funding and be as helpful as we can. So it's a real pleasure to have you with us today, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please proceed, Mr. Malone.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Boozman, members of the committee. Thank you very much for the invitation and the nice introduction. I appreciate that. I also, as a former staffer, want to offer thanks to your staff for being so hospitable to us. They were great to work with as well.
Thank you.
Northwest Arkansas has a very exciting story to tell, and I'm very pleased to be able to offer it to you today. Much like Mr. Wright described, my organization that I work for is an independent advocacy group that works at the regional scale. It's a smaller region than the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut region, but an important contributing region, an important contributor to the nation's economy. And infrastructure challenges certainly are of a concern in our area, and we appreciate the opportunity to contribute here. The rapid growth in our area over the last 2 decades, we're one of the fastest growing regions in percentage terms in the United States, and the rapid growth has put severe strains on our transportation infrastructure. We're concerned that without critical infrastructure improvements, our economic success will be halted or even reversed. We've been blessed with some very entrepreneurial business leaders and elected officials, Senator Boozman, Senator Pryor, in years past, Congressman John Paul Hammerschmidt. Our region is home to business leaders with the names Walton, Tyson, and Hunt, J.B. Hunt Transport, and those companies have grown into national and international leaders in their field and contributed greatly to the United States economy. And much of that growth has occurred despite having some of the infrastructure advantages of other regions. Through the leadership of our officials, we do have one 4-lane interstate that connects our region to the nation's interstate system, but we're one of only a handful of the 350 metropolitan regions around the country that is connected to just a single other MSA by an interstate. There are very few regions in the country that are just connected to one other MSA. So we're at a disadvantage there. The state of Arkansas, as a small, somewhat rural state, also is facing some of the revenue challenges, much like Tennessee and other mid-sized and smaller states are facing as well. Project costs have increased in Arkansas, and we're facing project delays and revenue concerns and not able to deliver the projects at the rate that we'd like to see. We're losing ground on key regional projects, and we're afraid that we're going to lose our competitive edge as a region and certainly as a state. Like Director McKim said, Arkansas is also putting its money where our message is. Our region has invested in infrastructure at a rate far beyond that of other regions in the state of Arkansas. Our local communities have taxed themselves to the tune of almost $300 million over the last decade or so to invest in projects, many of which had historically been state and federal funded projects. So we're doing all we can as a region. So we've done a lot and think we're doing as much as we can as a region. Our state also is looking at raising some additional revenues above and beyond the traditional revenues that have flowed for transportation. Our state legislature just referred out 2 tax questions to voters that will be on the ballot probably sometime in 2012 that, to ask voters if they want to raise the diesel tax by a nickel in the state of Arkansas, and if they want to raise the statewide sales tax. Both would generate funds to invest in transportation infrastructure in Arkansas. Even with these efforts at the local level, even with these opportunities at the statewide level, those revenues are not sufficient to meet the statewide transportation needs in Arkansas. And so we come to you today, and I think you've heard it from all the panelists, we urge you to quickly move forward on passing a robust multi-year authorization bill. It would give regions, state highway departments, metropolitan areas, communities, the certainty that they need to move forward. We're trying to do what we can both at the state and local levels, but it is very difficult to do it without that certainty or that vision of what the future looks like at the federal level. We also, as a region, would like to ask for programs that can help us substantially complete high-priority projects, high-priority corridors, some of which were named in ICE-T and have been high-priority corridors for almost 20 years, coming on 20 years, in fact, this year. We've got a key high-priority corridor that cuts through the heart of northwest Arkansas. It's the future I-49. Several million, just in our general area, there are 3 million Americans that would directly benefit from the completion of portions of I-49 through the middle part of America. Eventually, when it's entirely complete, it will connect New Orleans to Winnipeg, Canada. It will be an international corridor for trade and commercial activities. It will greatly increase access and the economic competitiveness of the middle part of the United States. We also, and I think my colleague Mr. Wright and I would share the view that regions are key economic building blocks for our nation's future. And so as you develop programs in the next reauthorization legislation, we urge you to think at the regional scale. Business and industry certainly don't see the political boundaries and the geographic boundaries that a lot of us live in and are concerned about. They need the assets and the strengths of an entire region, regardless of what those boundaries are, to be able to support them in their growth and their activities. Finally, as you set program thresholds, we would like to ask that you remember that small and mid-sized regions are very nimble and very competitive. And as I mentioned a couple times before, northwest Arkansas has had the greatest growth as a region in population terms of any region in the middle part of the United States. We've had more new residents move in over the last decade than moved into Kansas City or Minneapolis in actual population terms. So we're growing at a fast rate, but if thresholds are set on federal programs and they're set too high to only touch major metropolitan areas, that leaves dynamic regions like northwest Arkansas